Hey there everybody, it's Mark Crilley back with another How to Draw video. A few years back I did a video on how to draw a manga eye line by line. It was a popular video, but the resolution was pretty low, and so I have decided to kind of redo that video. Not exactly the way that I did it before, but sort of the same basic approach. I drew the hair and the shape of the head and the nose and the mouth and all these other lines except the eyes, and I'm going to be able to focus that way exclusively on drawing the eyes. Hopefully do it all real time. So let's go ahead and get into it. And you can see that I drew a couple of very light guidelines right here and here to give myself a sense of how big the eyes ought to be. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and start drawing the first of the two eyes. Now, notice this shape. It's a kind of difficult to describe. I always think of it as a little bit of a triangular shape. I suppose it looks a little bit like a heart on its side in a way, just that bottom part of it. But this is going to be the upper eyelash here, and it curves down from the top to the side, and then over here there's a little bit of a hook. Okay, now I'm not going to get too much into the details. I'm giving you the placement of it, and then I'm going to zoom in so that you can get a little more of a detailed view when I start to shade in and so forth. But let's just get the basics of the eyelashes, which I did here, and then the large ovalish shape of the iris, which in this point of view we've got her turned away looking back at us. This oval is really moved considerably over here to the left side of things. And again, I'll save the details for a little bit later on, but let's go ahead and do the second eye, because this can give people a lot of trouble. They say, I draw the first eye, it looks great. I draw the second eye, it doesn't match. And a lot of times, especially from this point of view, it shouldn't match exactly. It needs to be compressed a little because the face is turning away from us. And so I'm kind of repeating this whole thing, but compressing it from side to side so that it takes up considerably less space. Now, this will give you that classic sort of manga look. And then, again, I think before going into any more detail, I'm going to add just the eyebrows, which come in here pretty much between the upper eyelash and the hairline, maybe just a touch closer. But notice how far the eyebrow goes before it stops. And over here, it's going to kind of start shifted over a little closer to the right-hand side of this drawing, again, because of the way her face is turned away from us. Now, I'm going to go ahead and refocus the camera so that I can get into the details of the eyes. All right, well, I'm going to try to keep this moving because I would love for this all to be done in real time rather than using time-lapse. And so I've got this upper eye lash. The first little detail I'm going to add here is a little line here for the fold of the upper eyelid. Then in this style, I'm going to do two highlights. I'm going to put one here and then a smaller one down here. Okay, these are the white areas that remain white even after you've shaded everything else in. This is a fairly exaggerated manga eye, so I'm going to give her a really big pupil, really humongous compared to what it would be like in real life. And that pretty much gives us the details of this. Notice that there's just a little bit of a gap right here. I don't actually outline the entire eye over here. A little bit of a gap in the lower eyelash. Let's move over here. We're going to repeat pretty much exactly the same thing, just as we said before, compressed from one side to the other. Notice that if I make one highlight large and the other small, I've got to be careful to replicate that, the proportion of that on the other side. And now it is time for me to pick up my trusty black Prismacolor, which is a colored pencil, just getting that fold of the upper eye lid there. I'm switching to this black Prismacolor. This is just my style. You might want to use permanent ink. The main thing is to get some sort of permanent line that comes in here on top of the guidelines that you've put to begin with, and then when you erase, this line will stick around while you get rid of your rough guidelines. Now, this upper eyelash for a female character, of course, quite thick to indicate full eyelashes, but I want to get into how we shade in this eye, because that's kind of the main focus of the video from here on out. I'm darkening in the edge of this oval area. My style is to let these highlights sort of bleed into the same white of the eye. I see that quite frequently. And then here's where we're going to start to get into some shading. Darkening in the lower eyelash, not nearly as much as the upper eyelash, I find. Darkening in this hook here. And then I'm going to start going straight into the pupil, just shading it in. Not completely black. Sometimes I see these things are left a little bit just as a dark gray, say. And here's one of the keys I find is to start dark at the top, and then you let up on the pencil so that it gets progressively lighter as you reach the bottom. And you can go quite light down here. I think it helps give a certain three-dimensional quality to the drawing if there's a big contrast between this very deep dark black up here, a fairly dark area within the pupil, and then just sort of gradually lightening it up as we go down. And as quickly as I can, I'm going to try to reproduce the same thing over here. Again, I don't want to break down and do my usual time-lapse, which is what I like to do to keep the videos short. But, you're constantly, even though you're looking at what you're drawing, you're constantly checking over here to make sure that you're replicating it. And that's really, there's no magic bullet way to solve this problem of one eye not matching the other. It's just practice makes perfect, and you just have to really hold yourself to a high standard of accuracy as you try to draw this second eye so that it matches the first. But it certainly helps to maybe put down that initial guideline that I put down there that helps me place the eyes at least so they're in the right spot. And I think that pretty much does it. I find that these outer edges, darkening that in can be quite helpful for completing the final effect. I'm going to just darken in the eyebrow, and I think we will be done. Give me just a second. I am going to clean up this drawing, which is to say to erase the initial guidelines, and then we'll be back with some final words. All right, well, I think we're pretty much done, except no, we're not done. Crilley, you are not done. You have not done the blushies. You have not done, okay, now you're all right, now you're done. You're done the blushies. Okay, great. So we're pretty much done with this illustration now. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. I want to thank anyone who has supported me by getting any of my graphic novels, Minky Falls, Brody's Ghost, and my new How to Draw manga book, Mastering Manga. Should be out any day now in actual bookstores like Barnes & Noble and hopefully your local favorite bookstore. But let's go ahead and lay this pencil down. I really want to thank you for subscribing, for watching my videos, for supporting me all the different ways that you do. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with another one real soon.